Hello children, in this chapter we are going to see about force and laws of motion. So first of all, let's see about what is meant by force. So force is an effort that changes the state of an object which is at rest or at motion. Okay, so what is meant by force? It is an effort, okay, which will change the state of an object which is at rest or at motion. So if the body or if the object is at rest or in motion, the force can change its state. Okay, so a force is an effort that changes the state of an object at rest or at motion. It can change an object's direction and velocity. Okay, so when the force is applied over an object, it will change the object's direction and velocity. So what is meant by velocity? Speed of an object. So force can change object's direction and velocity. Now, force can also change the shape of an object. So, force can also change the shape of an object. Now, force is a push or pulls on an object. So, it is an effort on an object, or it is a push or pull on an object which produces an acceleration in the body on which it acts. So when a force applied over any object, it will change the state of the rest or state of an object which is at motion. Yes, it will produce an acceleration, that is movement with a speed. SI unit of force is Newton. Okay, so what is the SI unit of force, children? Newton. So a force can do three things on a body. What are they? First, it can change the speed of the body. So when a force is applied over any object, it can change the speed of the body. It can change the direction of motion of a body. It can change the shape of a body. Okay, so these three things on a body is done when a force is applied over it. Okay, so what are they? It can change the speed of the body. It can change the direction of motion of a body. It can change the shape of a body. Now, what is meant by balanced and unbalanced forces? When balanced forces are applied to an object, there will be no net effective force acting on the object. So, balanced means equally. When equally the force is applied towards an object from both the sides, there will be no net effective force act on the object. The object remains at rest or in motion. So, how it is in the first stage, the same way only if the balanced force is applied. So balanced forces do not cause a change in motion. Okay, so it will not cause any change in motion of an object, whether it is at rest or in motion. Unbalanced force, but unbalanced force act on an object and changes its speed or direction of motion. Okay, so unbalanced force act on an object and changes the speed of an object or direction of motion. Now, this unbalanced force moves in the direction of the force with the highest magnitude. Okay, so this unbalanced force will move towards the direction of the force through which it is applied with the highest magnitude. So here let's see an example. So the two team is playing and tug of war. Okay, you know tug of war is, so here in the first picture you can see balanced force, that is A team, B team. Let's consider the first team as A and second team as B. So both the team is applying an equal force, that is balanced force. So there is no net effective force. So there is no change in the motion of an object. Okay, so here you can see 300 Newton of force is applied by team A. The same way 300 Newton of force is applied by team B also. So that is balanced force and there is no change in the effect of force. So when an force is applied also there will be no change in the motion of an object. But let's see the second picture. Here you can see team A, it is applying 400 Newton of force and team B is applying 300 Newton of force. Yes, so that what is happening, there is an unbalanced force which cause the change in the motion of team B towards team A. Yes, so the team B, it is pulled towards team A. Yes, because team A is applying how much? 400 Newton of force and team B is applying 300 Newton. There is a difference in the force which is called unbalanced force, which cause a change in the motion of an object. Understand, children? Understood, children? Now let's see what is meant by frictional force. So frictional force means the force which opposes the motion. It is called as frictional force. Okay, the force which will act against the motion of an object is called frictional force. It arises between the surfaces in contact. So frictional force will occur between the surfaces. Now example, when we try to push a table, if it does not move, it is because balanced by the frictional force. Okay, so there is a force which opposes the motion of a table. Okay, so when we are trying to push a table, we cannot move it because it is balanced by the frictional force. So frictional force is the force which opposes the relative motion. Now let's go briefly towards this chapter. First let's learn about first law of motion, Newton's first law of motion. So according to Newton's first law of motion, a body continues to be in state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line unless acted upon by an external unbalanced force. So a body continues to be in the state of rest. Okay, so body, it can be continually remains in the state of rest or it can be in uniform motion in a straight line unless it is acted upon by any external unbalanced force. Okay, so if there is a force applied over an object, it will cause change in the state of rest or uniform motion. Okay, so that is the first law of motion. So if body will continue to be in the state of rest or uniform motion unless it will be acted upon by external. So if it is acted upon by the external force only, there will be a change. Otherwise a body continues to be in the state of rest or uniform motion. That is Newton's first law of motion, which is also called as the law of inertia. Okay, Newton's first law is also called as law of inertia. So here you can understand more about the first law of motion. Here you can see the object is at rest, will remain at rest. It will remain at rest until it is, so here you can see the ball which is remained at rest until it is hit by the player. Okay, so when it is hit by the player is applying an external unbalanced force which make the object to move with a constant speed and direction. Okay, so if it is not acted by any external force, it will remain, it will continue to be in the state of rest. That is called first law of motion. Okay, so an object remain at rest if it is not acted on by an unbalanced force. Now, let's see what is meant by inertia. We have seen that Newton's first law is called as law of inertia. Yes. So, what is meant by the word inertia? Inertia, all object, they have the tendency, they have the ability to resist the change in the state of motion or rest. Okay, so the tendency of an body to resist the change in the state of motion or rest is called as inertia. For example, you are standing in the bus, so bus brake is applied, but what you will do, you will hold your hands tightly in the bus so that what you will not fall. Yes, so that is the resistance which is applied by our body to balance our body when there is a change in the state of motion. Yes, so all objects have the tendency. So if anyone is fighting with you, your hand also will try to fight with them. Yes, so there is a tendency to resist. So we are resisting the change in the state of motion or rest. The tendency is called as inertia. So all bodies do not have the same inertia. Inertia depends on the mass of the body. What is meant by mass? Weight. Okay, so inertia depends on the weight of a body, and all bodies do not have the same inertia. Now, mass of an object is the measure of its inertia. So, how much inertia or how much mass it's having, based on that it will be having the inertia. Okay, so the measurement of inertia is based on the mass of an object. If more the mass, more inertia will be. So here you can see the basket. Yes, so here the sand is filled in one basket, so that it's very difficult to be pushed because the weight of the bucket which contain the sand is more. Okay, so more the mass, more inertia, it will resist the change, so it's very difficult to be pushed. But the bucket which is not having sand can be easily moved because it don't have, as the mass of it is less, so it has less inertia, easily we can move it. Now, what is meant by momentum? Momentum is, it depends on the mass and velocity of the body. So the momentum of an object is defined as the product of its mass and velocity. So what is meant by momentum? Momentum of an object is defined as product of its mass and velocity. So let's we can denote the momentum by the letter P, and it is the product of mass and velocity. So P is equal to mv. And momentum is a vector quantity which has both direction and magnitude. Now, Newton's second law of motion. So, the rate of change of momentum of an object. So, you know now momentum is defined as the product of mass and velocity. Yes. So, now the rate of change of momentum of an object is directly proportional to the applied unbalanced force in the direction of the force. Okay, so the rate of change of momentum will be directly proportional to the applied unbalanced force. That is called Newton's second law of motion. Here you can see the mathematical expression F, that is the force is proportional to the rate of change of momentum, that is P2 minus P1 by T, or we can write as, you know, P is equal to what? M velocity, product of mass and velocity. Yes, so we can write P2 is equal to mv, P1 is equal to mu. Then what you have to do, you have to take m, as m is common, we can take it outside and you write as v minus u inside the bracket by t. It also can be written as m into a. So F is equal to Kma, where K is a proportionality constant. So it is the constant of proportionality which is equal to 1. Okay, so F is equal to ma. This is Newton's second law of motion. Rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the applied unbalanced force. Now, for 1 unit of force on 1 kilogram mass with acceleration of 1 meter per second square, the value of K is 1. Therefore, F is equal to ma. So, the force, amount of force is 1 and the mass is 1 kg and acceleration is 1 and the value of K also 1. Then, therefore, F is equal to ma. Now, Newton's third law of motion. So, according to Newton's third law states that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So, the force of the nail, here you can see the picture, the force of the nail on the hammer, the force of the hammer on the nail. So, when there is an action, it has an equal and opposite reaction from the opposite side. Okay, so Newton's third law states that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And action and reaction forces will be equal and opposite and acting on different bodies. Okay, so every action and reaction forces will be equal and it will be opposite and act on different bodies. Okay, so this is about Newton's third law of motion. I hope that you all understand about the force and Newton's law of motion. If you have any doubt, you can ask children. Thank you.